Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the MLB slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, August the 3rd. We got an 8-game slate for today. We'll talk through the slate on Draftkings and Yahoo, look at each site's pricing, go through pitcher, and talk about the pitchers that I like the most, looking at the slate on Sunday night. Then we'll talk about 3 specific hitters I like. I'm not going to be able to go through each hitter position. Just takes too much time with how deep baseball is in terms of position. It's a lot easier to do that in like NBA and even NFL. Baseball, it can get hard because there's like so many hitters at each position. I do give more in-depth breakdowns over on Patreon. I will have a full breakdown article for this slate that I will post sometime Monday afternoon, probably around 11, 12 Eastern time. Usually when I finish my article, I'll have full breakdowns of each position. The guys I like most at each position, I'll write up why I like them. I also have some of my favorite stacks written up in that article. I'll give some home run calls, some updated core plays over on Patreon. Do have a lot of updated content over there if you want to check that out. Link down below in the description. Also, you can give me a follow on Twitter, which is linked down below in the description. If you do enjoy these videos, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. I'm uploading a ton of content right now, so you're definitely going to want to have those notifications on. You're not going to want to miss any new videos. I already have my NBA video up for this Monday slate, so if you're playing NBA on Monday, after you get done watching this video, definitely go check out my NBA video. It's already up on the channel, but let's go ahead and take a look at pitcher for today. We will start off at the top. 10K and above is usually what we always start off with, so looking at today's slate, we got 3 guys 10K and above on DraftKings. You got Jacob deGrom against the Braves, Garrett Cole against the Phillies, and then Walker Buehler against the Padres. So talking about these 3 guys specifically, Garrett Cole I think is definitely my favorite option here. deGrom is obviously an elite pitcher, but this is a tough spot against the Braves. I know he went out and mowed down the Braves in his first start this season, pitched 5 innings, only allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, got 8 strikeouts, did get 26 DraftKings points against the Braves. Still, I don't know if I want to pay $11,600 for him, though, on this slate, especially because, like, his pitch count, I mean, they only let him go 88 pitches last game, which is better than, what he did in his first start against the Braves, just 72 pitches. I think I'd rather go to someone like Garrett Cole for $600 less. Garrett Cole also, not in the best spot against the Phillies, but if we look at his, pitch count, he was able to throw 102 pitches last game against the Orioles. They're going to let Garrett Cole throw 100 pitches, maybe even more if he's pitching really well. This is a Phillies team that does have some strikeouts in its lineup. Last season versus right-handed pitching, the Phillies were in the top 10 in K rate at 10th. They struck out 23.4% of the time against right-handed pitching. They do have some Ks in their lineup, especially with a guy like Garrett Cole. I'm not really worried about the matchup. I mean, this is a dude that has nearly a 40% K rate. He can literally strike out anybody. At 11K, he's my favorite pitcher today, and on a slate where, there's not a ton of guys you're going to feel confident in the mid-range. Value-wise, there's really not a ton of value you feel confident either. I think I want to try and pay up at pitcher today for at least one guy. I don't think you're going to be able to get 2 of these guys in. It's just not going to work. You might be able to do it on Yahoo, though. Yahoo's pitcher pricing is always soft. You can usually get in, 2 of the expensive pitchers and still fit in some decent bats. I like Garrett Cole, though, as my SP1 today. I like him a lot on both sides here. I think he's probably the best pitcher in baseball right now, has the best strikeout stuff. Against the Phillies, a team that has some Ks in its lineup, I really like Garrett Cole. I guess the only concern today is there is some weather, in this game. Right now it's showing the little rain icon or whatever over the Yankees game, so I guess that's something to watch heading into Monday. For some reason, the game isn't showing up on the lineups page for Fantasy Labs. I'm not sure why. I think this was a game that was supposed to be played a couple days ago. They were supposed to play this game last week, I think, and it got postponed because of the COVID concerns. But they're playing it on Monday. Garrett Cole's going to be pitching. I like him a lot. He's my favorite pitcher on the slate. I do like Walker Buehler's matchup a lot against the Padres. This is definitely a strikeout-friendly matchup. The Padres, in terms of K rate versus right-handed pitching, were second most in the league last season, only behind the Tigers. They do have a dangerous lineup with some power, but they do have a lot of strikeouts. The only concern with Walker Buehler is, we just don't know how deep he's going to pitch into this game. He only threw 3 2/3 innings in his first start against the Astros, got pulled after 56 pitches. So who knows how much he pitches today. If I had to guess, I'd say they'd probably let him go 4 or 5 innings, probably 70, 75 pitches, and That's just not enough when he's 10,300, especially when you got a guy like Garrett Cole for just a couple hundred more, for 700 more. Now, if we get word that Walker Buehler's not going to be limited, then yeah, I'm going to obviously have a lot more interest in him. But for right now, I'm assuming he's still going to be on somewhat of a pitch count. And, while he's still expensive, that's just not going to be something I want to go to. When a guy's on a pitch count, it's different. If Walker Buehler was like 8K today, then maybe I would take a shot on him. But at 10.3, just don't really need to pay that price tag for him if he's going to be limited, especially when you have other guys at the top. But then looking at some of the other pitchers we have, like Soroka feels a little bit too expensive for me at 9,400. Don't really want to go to Thorpe against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, a team that doesn't really strike out. Alec Mills feels a little bit overpriced at 8K, although I do like his matchup against the Royals. Chris Paddock is pretty affordable for 7,600. It's a very tough spot against the Dodgers, but I mean, Paddock is a guy that, we normally see around 9K, especially when he's in a good matchup. He definitely got priced down here for the matchup against the Dodgers. But for what it's worth, I mean, the Dodgers still have a very low implied run total, 4.3 implied runs. I have some interest in Paddock just because I think he's so talented. He's a great pitcher. He has good strikeout stuff. At 7,600, I'll take a shot on him on DraftKings. Now, I don't know if he's going to be like a core play for me in a bunch of my lineups, but if, say I'm playing like 10 lineups on DraftKings, he probably makes it into at least one or two. I definitely want to be over the field on him in multi-entry stuff. So if he's going to be like single digit in terms of ownership, I do want to get like double the field because I think there's definitely upside for Chris Paddock, especially at a $7,600 price tag. However, Frankie Montas is someone I do feel pretty confident in at 7,200. I think he's just way too cheap for the matchup here. I know Montas has kind of been up and down to start the season. He looked decent in his first start against the Angels, didn't do great his next start against the Rockies. Against the Angels, he pitched 4 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, did get 5 strikeouts, and then against the Rockies, pitched 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, got 3 strikeouts. This is a guy that does have good strikeout stuff. The Mariners are a team that definitely has K guys in their lineup. Has a pretty high K rate against right-handed pitching last season. Mariners 4th most in the league in terms of strikeout rates last season against righties, 25.8%. I do like Montas at 7,200. I think he is way too cheap, especially, facing a weak Mariners lineup, pitching in a pretty good pitcher's ballpark as well. Montas, I think, is like the clear SP2. You could maybe go to him as an SP1 and then play someone like Carlos Rendon. Like, I wouldn't mind that. I don't really like anyone else under Rendon, though. Like, I don't want to play Danny Duffy against the Cubs. I don't want to play Cueto or Gonzalez and Coors. I don't want to play Arrieta against the Yankees. Derek Holland against the Twins, that feels like a really risky play. Sheffield against Oakland, I mean, I doubt I'd go there either. So Montas, I think, is a guy that really stands out in that mid-range, especially like when you look at the that price range. There's just not a lot of guys you feel too confident in. I like him a ton here at 7,200 on DraftKings. Now on Yahoo, he's pretty expensive. I mean, he's $46. He's the same price as Chris Paddock. I still like Frankie Montas quite a bit over there on Yahoo as well. I mean, you look at Yahoo's pitcher pricing. Soroka's only $42, so I guess that's a little bit more reasonable. I don't mind playing him at $42. Danny Duffy, though, I don't want to really play against the Cubs. Now, Carlos Rendon is only $28 on Yahoo. I think that is very interesting. Carlos Rendon, he's a guy that has a high walk rate. He will definitely get runners on base. He'll give up home runs. But he also has pretty good strikeout stuff. This is a guy that does have a K rate, I believe, over 25%. Can get strikeouts. It's not the best. It's not the best matchup for strikeouts. I mean, the Brewers aren't a team that really Ks much. If we look at their lineup for tomorrow, their projected lineup, there's some Ks in here. Like I'm pretty sure Arcia Ks. Manny Pena will strike out. Justin Smoke doesn't strike out much, but he's much better against right-handed pitching, so he'll be batting from his weaker side. Eric Sogard, even against lefties, doesn't really strike out. Avisel Garcia, I think he Ks. He does have a lot of power, though. I mean, there's some strikeouts here, especially at 7K. I do like Carlos Rendon as, a tournament option. A guy that may be somewhat risky, but has strikeout upside. Kind of similar to, like, Dylan Cease. One of the reasons I really like Dylan Cease on Sunday was just because I thought the strikeout stuff was there, especially when you looked at Sunday's pitching slate. There wasn't a ton of guys that had, like, good strikeout stuff. Rendon's one of those guys that, that does have strikeout stuff that can go out there and get 7, 8 strikeouts easily. At 7K, I do like him a good amount for tournaments. Like, if you wanted to play Montas as your SP1 and then go with Rendon as your SP2, I don't mind that at all. That probably is going to leave you a good amount of salary, so you can definitely pay up for some expensive bats. When you go with Cole and Montas, it leaves you about 4K remaining per player, which you can still work around. There are some hitter values that we'll talk about in a second. But just finishing out the pitcher-player pool, I don't think there's really anything else under Rendon, like these Duffy, Gonzalez. Like, I'm just not going to be going to these guys. So for pitcher, for me, I think I'm definitely liking Cole the most as my favorite pay-up option. Montas and Rendon I like quite a bit in the mid-range. Soroka, I have some interest in on Yahoo where he's $42. $9,400 on DraftKings, though. I doubt I'll go there. But yeah, this feels like a slate where I'm going to have a pretty tight pool at pitcher. I don't expect to have a lot of exposure to a bunch of different pitchers. I feel like I'm probably going to have maybe 5-6 pitchers in my player pool. Cole, Montas, Carlos Rendon we talked about. Chris Paddock as well, I do want to get over the field on. But yeah, like those 4 guys, maybe Jacob deGrom, those 5 guys, like that's kind of what I'm looking at for pitcher today. Just not much to like. I think there's a lot of risky options here, a lot of guys that have blow-up potential that I just don't want to play. So let's go ahead and take a look at some bats now. I think this is a slate where we have a lot of teams that are in pretty appealing spots. First off, the Twins, 5.9 implied run total against Derek Holland. I like them a ton. We're going to talk about a couple of their hitters that I really like. Looking at some of the other teams, though, I mean, I like the Cubs here against Danny Duffy. Guys like Chris Bryant, Javier Baez, Contreras, Steven Souza, very cheap, $2,700. You definitely want to roster right-handed hitters against Danny Duffy, and the Cubs do have some pretty good righties that can hit left-handed pitching well. So I like going there. Brett Anderson is expected to pitch for the Brewers today, so I think taking some righties against him makes a lot of sense, especially in Miller Park. Miller Park is a great hitter's park. Brett Anderson, not really a good pitcher, was able to pitch in Oakland a lot last year with the A's, which obviously helped him a ton pitching in that ballpark. Now he's going to have to pitch in Miller Park a lot. I think we're going to see Brett Anderson really struggle this season. I mean, he's not really that good of a pitcher to begin with. Has like a 9% K rate to righties, like a 13% K rate to lefties, or it's the other way around. Yeah, I mean, this just isn't a guy that's going to get strikeouts. He lets you put the ball in play, and that's not going to work against this really good White Sox team that has a ton of power. So I like the White Sox quite a bit as well. You obviously have the Coors game, 7.1 implied run total for the Rockies. Johnny Cueto expected to pitch for the Giants. Chichi Gonzalez going for the Rockies, and the Giants have a 6 implied run total against him. So Coors Field's definitely going to be a game we want to look to for bats, obviously. Even some guys or some A's against Sheffield could be interesting. So there's a lot of teams to like. I think the Twins, though, might be one of my favorite teams here against Derek Holland. Derek Holland's just not a pitcher I believe in. This is a guy that gets absolutely crushed by righties. Last year versus righties, allowed a 4.06 WOBA. In terms of home runs, he gave up a ton of power to righties. 2.98 home runs per 9, nearly 3 home runs per 9. 23% strikeout rate, which is decent, but still, not something you're going to be afraid of, not something you're going to be scared of, especially when it comes to these Twins bats that have a ton of power. Nelson Cruz, I think, is one of my top plays on the slate, and it's not even close. I mean, Nelson Cruz just absolutely mashes left-handed pitching, and what does Derek Holland struggle with? He struggles with right-handed hitters that have a ton of power, and that's exactly what Nelson Cruz is. I mean, he's a right-handed hitter with a ton of power, and he's a guy that mashes left-handed pitching, so I love Nelson Cruz here. I love the twin stack. He's expensive on Yahoo. I mean, he's $24. He's one of the most expensive players on the slate, but I still think Nelson Cruz is a top play over there. And I think on DraftKings where he's $4,500, I mean, that is just a really, really cheap price tag for Nelson Cruz against a mediocre lefty at best. When I saw that Derek Holland was pitching against the Twins, I was expecting Nelson Cruz to be like $5,800, and he's $4,500. So he's one of my favorite plays on the slate. I think he's almost a lock to home run today. Like, I would be very surprised if Nelson Cruz doesn't take Holland deep at least once, maybe multiple times. This is a fantastic spot for him. So love Nelson Cruz. Love some of the other Twins bats, though. Jorge Polanco, projected back cleanup, I like a lot on DraftKings. He's only $4K. I think he definitely stands out as a really good shortstop value. Now, Polanco is a switch hitter. He does bat better right-handed or left-handed, so he bats better against righties. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's much better against right-handed pitching. But I still like him here against Holland. I still think he has decent numbers even against righties. I should have pulled this up so I could see. I'm going to pull it up just real quick. See what Polanco splits are, how he did versus righties compared to how he did versus lefties compared to righties last season. So let's search up Jorge Polanco real quick, just so we can see. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he was, better against right-handed pitching. But let's see real quick. Go to his splits. Look at last season. So last season against righties, he had a 306 batting average against righties, 270 against lefties. Let's look at the advanced numbers, the WOBA and the ISO. So against righties, let's see, 372 WOBA, 207 ISO against lefties, 153 ISO, 306 WOBA. So yeah, he was better against right-handed pitching, but I still like him here even against a lefty. I mean, I showed you how bad Holland was against righties last season. I mean, Polanco will be batting right-handed here. He is a switch hitter. I like pretty much all the righties in this Twins lineup. I think Mitch Garver is easily the top catcher play today. Josh Donaldson, someone I'm going to be keeping my eye on. Right now, he's listed as questionable. He did not play. He wasn't in their lineup on Sunday. I think he's missed the last 2 games with an injury. We don't know yet if he's going to be in the lineup or not. If he is in the lineup, Josh Donaldson is only 3,900 on DraftKings. I think he would become one of my favorite values on the slate. Cruz, I obviously love. Polanco at 4K, I like a lot. I think he's too cheap. Miguel Sano's kind of expensive at 4,700, but this is a guy that also hits left-handed pitching incredibly well, has a ton of power. I still like him. I wouldn't even mind going to guys like, Kepler and Rosario. Although Holland is really good against lefties, I mean, Kepler and Rosario still are, great hitters even against left-handed pitching, still have power. Really, I think a full twin stack makes a ton of sense. Even the guys at the bottom of the lineup, they present you with some value. 2,600 for Adrianza, 3K for Byron Buxton. Like, there's a lot of value in this Twins lineup. A lot of guys that are underpriced. Looking over to Yahoo, there's Miguel Sano over there. I think is underpriced, definitely. He's only $11, and he's first base, which I think is very appealing, especially because first base. Lately on Yahoo, first base has kind of been like a shit show. It's pretty deep today, though. I mean, you got like Daniel Murphy for $14. That looks really good. Pete Alonso is only $16. That looks really good. Luke Voigt against Arrieta, I like quite a bit for $16. So first base is a little bit deeper today. Recently, it's kind of been a bad position, but it's pretty deep today. I think Miguel Sano, definitely one of my favorite first basemen on Yahoo. Only $11. I think that's way too cheap for a guy that has, great power numbers against left-handed pitching and going to be facing a lefty that gives up a ton of power to righties, nearly 3 home runs per 9 innings last year. Love these Twins bats here. If the Twins go out and put up a big number, I have a feeling I'll have a pretty good day. If they go out there and score 2 runs, I'm probably going to lose, and I'll just move on to the next slate. But I'm definitely going to be riding or dying with the Twins tonight. I'm going to be, dying on that hill. But another game that I do want to talk about is the Coors game, obviously. So, anytime Coors is on the slate, you have to take notice of it. Best hitters park in baseball. You kind of saw it this past weekend with the Padres-Rockies series. A lot of runs were scored in that series. I think we're going to see similar here, even like with a weak Giants lineup. I think we're still going to see the Giants put up some runs. I mean, Chichi Gonzalez is just not good. You look at this dude's numbers. Last year against lefties, he allowed a 362 WOBA. Was better against righties, but still gave up a 308 WOBA to them. K rate, though, I mean, this dude gets no strikeouts. 15% K rate to lefties, 17% to righties. Gave up 1.59 home runs per 9 to lefties, 1.56 to righties. Did give up more home runs at home in Coors Field, as you would expect. I mean, obviously in Coors Field, you're going to give up home runs with how good of a ballpark that is to hit in. Looking at the pricing, though, on DraftKings, I mean, there's not a lot of value here. There's a lot of guys 5K and above. The top 4 hitters from the Rockies projected lineup are all 5K and above. Really, the only value you get is, I think Daniel Murphy's a little bit too cheap at 4,500. Ramel Tapia is only 4,100. I think that gives you some value. But even on the Giants side, they're pretty expensive, too. Their top 3 hitters are all 5K and above. Brandon Belt's 4,800, which is expensive. Longoria's 4,900, which is also expensive. You kind of get more value if you look at Yahoo's pricing. Yahoo tends to always underprice guys at Coors. They leave guys way too cheap. David Dahl's only $19 against Cueto. I like that a lot. Charlie Blackmon, I've been playing a ton recently. He's still $20, which honestly feels too cheap. Daniel Murphy's only $14. I like that a lot. Tapia and Tony Walters are both $9. I think those guys are great values. Looking on the Giants side, if Solano bats third, he's only $13 at third base. I like that a lot. Brandon Belt for $18 I think is a really good first base play if you're not going to play Miguel Sano. Pablo Sandoval, also at first base, is only $10. And then Brandon Crawford, you have at shortstop, and he is actually minimum salary. I think Brandon Crawford, probably one of my favorite guys to target. I almost typed in minimum salary. I think Brandon Crawford is one of my favorite guys to type in, or Jesus Christ, I'm having a brain fart here. Brandon Crawford, if I can spell the dude's name, Jesus Christ. Brandon Crawford, $7 on Yahoo. I think it's definitely one of my favorite values, and that's scary to say because Brandon Crawford at this point in his career, he's just not a good hitter. I mean, this dude, he's batting 190 on the season so far. Doesn't have much power, but he's going into Coors Field, and he's still $7 on Yahoo. I was expecting them to bump up his price to at least $12, $13. They left him at minimum salary, so at shortstop, when I can find guys, that cheap in course, I'm just going to play that, especially for like cash now. For tournaments, if you want to get off that chalk, I don't mind it at all. Especially like if you're full stacking the Giants, maybe leaving out Brandon Crawford in your stack is automatically going to make you contrarian. I do expect Brandon Crawford to be pretty popular because he is $7 and he's playing in Coors Field. But I tend to, try and build these core plays around like sort of cashy, optimal plays. And Brandon Crawford, for me, on Yahoo at $7 is definitely an optimal play. Just way too cheap playing in Coors Field against Chichi Gonzalez, who, like I said, not a good pitcher, struggles to lefties, gives up home runs, doesn't get strikeouts either. So I like both sides of the Coors Field game. Given the pricing, I think I'd probably prefer the Giants. Well, I guess talking about DraftKings pricing, they're both pretty expensive on DraftKings, so I'd rather just roster the Rockies. On Yahoo, though, you get more value from the Giants, so maybe that makes them more appealing. If I had to project or just guess which team scores more runs, though, I think the Rockies do more times than not score more runs in this situation. I just don't think Cueto's that good. I don't think Chichi Gonzalez is that good either. But the Giants have a much worse lineup than the Rockies, and the Rockies have a ton of lefties that can really do damage against Cueto. Dahl, Blackman, Murphy, McMahon, Hilliard, these guys all have some power. Wouldn't be surprised to see Cueto give up multiple home runs here. So love the Coors Field game, love the Twins, definitely two of my favorite stacks. And then the White Sox are another team I want to talk about, so I do like them a lot here against Brett Anderson. Luis Robert is someone I've been playing a lot on DraftKings recently, and he's still too cheap in my opinion. He's only $3,900, and he's projected to lead off. He's pretty much took the leadoff spot. Now that Tim Anderson is on the IL, they're going to keep leading off Luis Robert, especially against a left-handed pitcher. I would assume he leads off. This is a guy with a ton of power, has some speed as well, literally just the full package. I mean, power, speed, combo, really just all you can ask for, especially for a leadoff hitter. Does strike out a little bit, too much, I think, more than you would like. But like we said earlier, Brett Anderson, I mean, this just isn't a guy that gets strikeouts. Take a look at his numbers last season. In terms of like WOBA allowed to righties, did allow a 325 WOBA to righties. Gave up 1.2 home runs per 9 to righties, but you got to think, I mean, he pitched a lot of his games in Oakland in that very pitcher-friendly ballpark. Now he's going to be pitching in Miller Park, which is, much less favorable for pitchers. It's more favorable for hitters. I think we're going to see Brett Anderson give up a lot more home runs this season. Talking about his strikeouts, though, I mean, literally a 10% K rate to lefties, 13% to righties. Like, this dude doesn't get any strikeouts. So that's something I'm not really worried about here. Although Luis Robert does strike out a lot, I'm not really worried about that with a pitcher like Brett Anderson who, doesn't really get strikeouts. 3,900 leading off. I expect the White Sox, when this run total comes out, I expect them to probably have over a 5 implied run total. So they are definitely going to be a team I want to get some exposure to. And I really love Luis Robert, again, as a value outfielder, 3,900. I think he's one of the top values on DraftKings, just in my opinion, along with guys like Nelson Cruz. If you want to consider Nelson Cruz a value, I think he is. I think he's like $1,000 too cheap, honestly. But yeah, guys, that's kind of what I'm looking at for this 8-game MLB slate for DraftKings and for Yahoo. Talking about stacks, I mean, I pretty much covered it all. Love the Coors Field game. If I had to choose one side of the game, I think I'd go to the Rockies, but, I'm going to be stacking up both sides of this Coors Field game. Love the White Sox here against Brett Anderson. Love the Twins against Derek Holland, and I think some guys or some right-handed hitters against Danny Duffy makes a lot of sense as well. Bryant, Baez, Contreras, Souza, Bodie, like those are guys you could definitely go to. But for sure, my top 4 stacks today, in order, when you factor in pricing, I think I'd go Twins number 1, Rockies 2, White Sox 3, and then Giants 4. But those are probably going to be by far my 4 highest exposed stacks. And if those 4 teams do well, I have a feeling I'll do pretty well on Monday night, as long as I can nail my pitching, which is something I've kind of struggled with to start off this season. I've kind of been whiffing at pitcher. I feel like this is a slate, though, where, you can't really whiff at pitcher, because I feel like if you whiff at pitcher and you play Garrett Cole or Frankie Montas and they do bad, like, I don't know who else is going to do good then, because there's not really many pitchers you feel too confident in on this slate. But yeah, guys, I think we covered everything for this MLB slate for Monday. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, just hit that like button before you get out of here. That's your way of showing support. That's the way, that I know that you guys are enjoying these videos. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. Also, make sure to check out some of my exclusive content I have to offer on Patreon. Get access to my updated core plays, my home run calls, my weekly articles, or my articles that I post Monday through Friday over on Patreon. They're very in-depth. They're usually anywhere from 10 to 12 pages long. I'm doing articles for both NBA and MLB right now, so getting a lot of content out over there as well. You can check out the Patreon link down below in the description. Give me a follow on Twitter as well. That's linked down below in the description too. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.